Good afternoon, students. Hopefully, audio video is okay. Anyone, please reply.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, it's fine.
So, we were doing the tutorial set 2, and we have seen the idea about the basic probability and conditional probability. In lecture, also, we have covered these topics. So, in continuation of sheet 2, let us have this question. Question number 6. Suppose that five good and two defective fuses have been mixed up. To find defective ones, we test them one by one. This should be the them. One by one at random without replacement. So what is the without replacement? Means we will not replace. So number of fuses will decrease one by one. What is the probability that we find both the defective fuses in in exactly three tests? So, what is the probability that both defective fuse we can select in the three tests? So, what we can have if you define the events clearly, always whenever we have to do the question, always we have to define clearly what are the events. So, let us define D1, D2, D3 represent the event. First fuse tested is defective, second fuse tested is defective, and third fuse tested is defective, because we are doing the in three steps. Similarly, G1, G2, G3 we define first fuse tested is good. Similarly, G2 and G3 for the second fuse and third fuse. So if the fuse are tested one by one at random without replacement. So important here is the without replacement. Without replacement means number of fuses will decrease one by one. So probability both of the defective fuses in exactly the three tests. So what are the possibilities? Either first one is good, second and third should be the defective, then we will stop the testing, or first is defective, second is good, and third is defective. Then only in the three both defective you can select. Either the first can be the good or second can be the good. So it both are the mutually exclusive. Either the first can be the good or second can be the good. So using the axiom 3, it can be written as probability of G1 D2 D3 plus probability of D1 G2 D3. So it means what we are writing here, we are writing the probability of here we are writing the probability of G1 D2 D3. What this represent? Probability of G1 intersection D2 intersection D3. So it can be written as occurrence of G1, probability of occurrence of the G1 into probability of occurrence of D2 given G1 has already occurred, then probability of D3 given G1 and D2 have already occurred. So using the concept of the conditional probability, we can write, because you have seen what is the formula of the probability of the A given B. A given B is what? Probability of A intersection B into probability of B. Probability of B. So probability of A intersection B can be written as probability of A given B into probability of B. So using this concept, we can write the probability of G1 intersection D2 intersection D3. So so using that concept, we can write it as a probability of G1 into probability of D2 given G1, probability of D3 given G1 and D2, plus probability of D1 into probability of G2 given D1 and probability of D3 given D1 G1. So what is the probability of G1? Total number of 5 good and 2 defective. So probability of G1 will become the 5 upon 7. 5 upon 7. What is the probability of D2 given G1? Means G1 has already happened. So when G1 already happened, number of fuses in box will become 6. But number, because first one is the G1, so number of defective fuses will not decrease. So probability of defective fuses will become the 2 out of 6. Then probability of D3 given G1 and D2 means D2 already happened. In the second we have the one defective. So now we have only one defective remain. So when we have the one defective remain and total number of fuse will be the 5 only, so it will become the 1 upon 5. So that will give you the probability of the D3 given G1 intersection D2. Similarly, probability of D1. Probability of D1 means 2 defective piece out of the 7. Probability of G2 given D1. Due to the given D1, we have the 6 fuses, and out of the 6, 5 are good. And probability of D3 given D1 G1. So 1 already selected in the first step. So it will become the 1 upon 5. So after solving, you will get this as a 0.095. So this is the required probability. So any doubt, anyone?
Sir, doubt, sir.
Yes.
Sir, we had taken that first case is that one all right next to a defective, sir.
One
is good and other 2 are defective, right, sir?
Yes. Yes.
And second is first is defective, second is good, third is defective. And third case also can come, no, sir. First and second are defective, third is good, no, sir.
No, then it is not the third step. No, then you have to, in the second step only, you have to stop your testing. Already they have said in 3 tests you have to choose the 2 defective.
Okay, 3 tests. Okay, sir.
Let us see the question. Question is, what is the probability that we find both defective fuses in exactly 3 tests?
Exactly 3, sir. Okay, sir. Understood.
Then this case you cannot consider. This case you cannot consider.
Okay, sir.
Let us have another question. An urn contains 10 white, 12 red chips. 2 chips are drawn at random and without looking at their colors are discarded. We do not know what are the colors we are selecting for the chips, and we have discarded without checking whether it is the white or red. What is the probability that third chip drawn is red? What means you have to compute the probability of chips you have drawn at the third you have drawn in the third trial, right? It should be the red. In the second part, if the third chip is drawn randomly and observed to be red, it is given condition. What is the probability that both of the discarded chips were white? Earlier 2 were the white. So here also we have to take the event in the same fashion whatever we have taken in the question number 6. So here we define number of white chips is given to you as a 10, number of red chips is given to you as a 12. Clear? So we define that Ri and Wi, the event that ith chips drawn is red and event that ith chips drawn is the white, means R1, R2, R3 and W1, W2, W3. If 2 chips are drawn, at random, are discarded, right, and discarded, we have not noted what are the color. And probability for the red chip, total now we have the 22 chips, right? 10 white, 12 red. So total we have the 22 chips. So probability for drawing red chips will become the 12 upon 22. Right? It will become the 12 upon 22, and probability for selecting the white chips will become the 10 upon 22. Now, from here, if you have to compute the probability of the discarded one, then the sample space of drawn the two chips, sample space for drawing the two chips, whatever we have discarded before drawing the third one, whatever the we have discarded, the sample space can be that either first one is white, second one is white, first one is red, second one is red, or first one is right, second one is white, or first one is white, second one is red. Clear? So we can have all the, we had in the sample space we consider the all the possibilities. Now we have to compute the probability of, in the part A we have to compute the probability of red chips in the third draw. So a probability of the R3, third chips drawn in the third chips drawn is red. So what are the possibilities? First two can be the red white, second two can first two can be the white red, first two can be the red red, and first two can be the white white. So using the total probability, what we can write? Probability of R3 as a probability of R3, probability of R3, probability of R3, or probability of R3. Or you can understand this as a, you have to compute the probability of R3. So probability of R3, right? Probability of R3 union R3 union R3 union R3. Intersection, first two can be the red red, first two can be the white white, first two can be red and white, and first two can be the white and red. And you know that all the sample points in this sample space are the mutually exclusive. So this can be written as probability of R3 intersection R2 intersection R1 plus probability of R3 intersection W2 intersection W1 plus probability of R3 intersection R2 intersection W1 plus probability of R3 intersection W2 intersection R1. Using the concept of the conditional probability, this can be written as probability of R3 given R2 intersection R1. This we can write into probability of R2 intersection R1 plus this can be written as probability of R3 given W2 intersection W1 into probability of W2 intersection W1 plus probability of R3 given first two are the red and white, so R2 intersection W1 into probability of R2 intersection W1 plus probability of R3 given W2 intersection R1 into probability of W2 intersection R1. Clear? So using the concept of the total probability, we can write the required probability like this. So here we have written the same thing. At this place we have written the same thing. Now what is the probability of R2 intersection W1? So what is the probability of R2 intersection W1? So I have told you probability of R2 intersection W1 can be written as probability of R2 given first step is the W1 into probability of W1 into probability of the W1. So here, so probability of R2 intersection W1 can be written as probability of R2 given W1 into probability of W1. So what is the probability of W1? We have the 10 white out of 22. Experiment is without replacement. So first already you have drawn. So now we have the remaining 21 and you are selecting the red. So total there are the 12 red. So total there are 12 red. So it will come the 20 by 77. Similarly, if you have to compute the probability of W2R1, so W2R1 will become probability of W2 given R1 into probability of R1. What is the probability of R1? It is the 12 by 22 without replacement. So now we have the 21. How many we have? The only the 10. So again it will become the 20 upon 77. If you have to compute the probability of R2 given R1, probability of R2 intersection R1, so this will become the probability of R2 given R1 into probability of R1. So what is the probability of R1? Probability of R1 is the total, we have the 12 out of 22 without replacement. So now we have the 21. One already you have selected. So now we have the choice of the 11 only. Right? Now we have the choice of the 11 only. So 11 upon 21 into 12 upon 22. Similarly, probability of W2 intersection W1 will become the 9 upon 21 into 10 upon 21. So if you have to compute the probability of R3, so probability of R3 means third one is red. So in this case, so if you have to write like this, so probability of R3. So probability of R3 means here you have selected one R, here you have selected one R, red. So total 12 red we have. It means at this place we have the 10 red. So probability will become the 10 upon 20 without replacement. Two already you have selected. In this case, we have selected the two white. So ball will be the only the 20, but not red you have selected. So red will be the 12. In this case, you have selected one red only. So out of 20, there are the 11 red. In this case also, you have selected only one red. So 11 upon 20. Right? These probabilities already you have computed. So just you put the value, you will get the required probability. So this will become the 11 by 20 into 20 by 77 plus 11 by 20 into 20 by 77 plus 10 by 20 into 20 by 77 plus 12 by 20 into 15 by 77. So required probability will come 12 by 22.
Sir, we can
Clear?
also do this by PNC, right? By taking 12C2 by 22C2.
That only we are doing that.
So, but do we have to
Here,
explain something like
here actually we are conveying the concept of the conditional probability. How the conditional probability we can use.
okay?
Now, in the B part, if the third chips is drawn randomly, observed to be red. if the given is third, what is the probability that both of the discarded chips were the white? Means it is the W2 and W1. You have to compute this probability. So by the formula we know it is the probability of W2 intersection W1 intersection R3 upon P of R3. So numerator denominator both already you have computed. So just you put the value. So if the third chip is drawn randomly and observed red, then probability both of the discarded chips are white, given that third chip is red. So what we have to compute? Probability of W1 intersection W2 given R3. So this can be written as probability of W1 intersection W2 intersection R3 upon P of R3. And this can be written as, means this can be written as probability of W1 intersection W2 intersection R3 divided by the probability of R3, which can be written as, numerator can be written as probability of R3 given W1 W2 into probability of W1 W2. So already we have computed in last slide. So it is 12 by 20, right? And probability of W1 W2 you have computed as a 15 by 77, and R3 just now we have computed, right? R3 just now we have computed. So just you put the value, so you will get the required probability. Clear? Or any doubt?
So it is 8 by 14 or 3 by 14?
I think 3 by 14. एक बार check कर लो. अरे calculation तो I think you can check.
Sure, sir.
Yes, sir. 3 by 14 is coming.
Right. So calculation, I think you can check. Here I am not doing the calculation part. No. Conceptually, anything, any concept you want to ask here. This is very good question to understand the concept, because we have taken the three events. Now, Professor Standard Deviation can take one of the two routes on his way home from work. So he want to go the office from the home. On the first route, there are 4 railway road crossing. The probability that he will be stopped by the train at any particular one of the crossing is 0.1. Probability he will be stopped means there is the crossing of the rail, and the train operate independently at the 4 crossing, means all the 4 railroad crossings are independent. Other route is longer, but there are only 2 crossings independent of one another with the same stoppage probability. Here the stoppage probability is again the 0.1, means when he is passing from there, so there is the closed gate. On a particular day, Professor Deviation has meeting scheduled at home for a certain time. Whichever route he takes, where we have the less chance for being late. He calculates that he will be late if he is stopped by train at least half of the crossing encounter, means at least half. So on the first route, either the 2 crossing, 3 crossing or 4 crossing. In the second route, either the 1 crossing or 2 crossing. If he encountered, then he will be late. Which route should he take to minimize the probability of being late to the meeting. So, which route he will prefer? Where the likelihood is less. And if he tosses the coin to decide on a route, he is late, and he is late. What is the probability that he took the 4 crossing routes? Clear the question? Anything you want to ask about the question?
So can you explain the last statement? Whichever routes he take, he would be late if.
Means it is given to you that you require the probability of the uh, 4 crossing route. 4 crossing route if he is late. That is only the thing. He chooses the route by tossing, and he is late. Result is the late.
No, sir, of the paragraph, as in whichever route he takes, he calculates that he will be late if he's stopped by train.
Whichever the route he takes, he calculates that he will be late if he is stopped. Means we have the alternatives of the two routes. One is the 4 crossing route. One is the 2 crossing route. 2 crossing route. Clear? We have the alternative of the two route. Here we have the 4 crossing, and he will be late when at least half half rail crossing. He is stopped at the half rail crossing. So either 2 or 3 or 4, then he will be late. If here, if he is choosing the second route, then he will be late when there is a if he will face the either the 1 rail crossing or 2 rail crossing. Let us see the solution. After that, if it is not clear, then I will re back. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Any other doubt? So, given that probability train is stopped, it is given to you as a 0.01. So, for the route 1, what is the probability of late? When he will be late? When he is stopped at either 2 crossing, or at the 3 crossing, or at the 4 crossings. By the complementary probability, it will become 1 minus p of stopped at the 0 crossing or 1 crossing. So what is the meaning of the 0 crossing? 1 minus probability of not stopped plus probability of stopping at once. Up to here, any doubt? Now, what is the probability of not stopped? Means at any step there is it is 0.01 or 0.1. 1 minute. It is the 0.1.
0.1.
It is 0.1. So probability of not stop will become 1 minus p into 1 minus p into 1 minus p into 1 minus p, or 1 minus p to power 4. So this will become the 0.9 into 0.9 into 0.9 into 0.9. Probability that at once there is a crossing at the crossing of 1, 2, 3, or 4 at one. So it will be what? It will be the 4c1, right? 4c1, 1 minus p power 3 and p to power 1. Clear? So stopping either at 1, at 2, at 3, at 4. So it will become the 4 into 0.9 power 3 into 0.1. Means what we are saying, at the first we have the stop, at the second and at the third and the fourth there is no stop, right? At the first we have no stop, but at the second we have the stop, in the third, in the fourth there is no stop. Then in the first two there is no stop. In the third we have the stop, and in the fourth also again we know not stop. And point 9, in the first three there is no stop, but in the fourth there is a stop. That is the logic. So you can understand by any mean. So so what is the probability of being late by the through the root 1? So it will become the, because we have computed here now, 1 minus probability of uh, not stop, this bracket we should write. So not stop, or stop by at most 1. So this will become 1 minus 0.9 to power 4 minus 4.9 to power 3 into 0.1. So by calculation, it gives you the required probability 0.0523. Similarly, if you compute the probability of late on the second root, so for the root second, so probability of late means probability stopped at either 1 or 2 crossing. So it will be the 1 minus probability stopped at none. So when it is a none, it will become the 1 minus 0.9 to power 2. 0.9, because we have the two roots only, two crossing only. So 1 minus 0.9 to power 2. So it will become the 0.19. So which root has the lesser chance? So here the here we have the 0.0523, and here we have the 0.19. So probability being late at root 1 is less than the probability being late at the root 2. So the professor will choose the root 1. So now if you want to see the question, let us observe the question. Which route should he take to minimize the probability of being late to the meeting? Now, B part, if he tosses a fair coin to decide on a route and he is late, what is the probability that he took the 4 crossing route? So you have to compute the probability of 4 crossing route given late. So given late, so it is what? Probability of A given B. That can be written as probability of A intersection B divided by the probability of B. Right? That can be written as probability of A intersection B divided by the probability of B. And so this can be written as probability of A given B into probability of B divided by the or you can say probability of B given A into P of A divided by the P of B, like this. So probability of 4 crossing route into probability of late given 4 crossing route and divide by the probability of late. Instead of writing the complete, you can write the probability of late. So that is only the Bayes theorem. Bayes theorem state, with the help of the Bayes theorem, you can compute the probability of cause given effect. So this will become, so the probability for choosing the 4 crossing route, it is the 0.5 because here toss the coin. So it is the 0.5 into probability of late given 4 crossing route, it will become the 0.0523 divided by the probability of 4 crossing route into this. So 0.5 into 0.0523 plus 0.5 into 0.19. So required probability will become 0.216. So is there any doubt in applying the Bayes theorem? Anything you want to re-explain? So let us move ahead. So now this is the tutorial sheet 3. I think today you have received on Nalanda. So here we have the concept of the discrete random variable. So you have now the idea of what is the discrete random variable, or random variable. So first, what is the random variable? Random variable is nothing. Random variable is mapping of sample space, mapping of the sample space to the real number, mapping from sample space to the real number. For example, here we have the sample space head and tail. So this head and tail, when the experiment is tossing a coin, so the sample space is the head and tail. So head and tail directly you cannot use for any further application. So for using, what we can do, you can write this as a 1 and 0. So random variable is nothing. It is a mapping from sample space having numerical or non-numerical sample point to the real value, right? So here codomain is the real, right? And domain may be the numerical, non-numerical. So here I have demonstrated the example of the non-numerical. Sometimes if we have the numerical, then there is no need to change 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. For example, when we are rolling a die, so directly you can say again this is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So sample space may be numerical, may be non-numerical, but with the help of the random variable, we can convert the non-numerical to the numerical. It means random variable will comprise the numerical sample space. For the layman, you can say it is nothing. It is the numerical sample space. Numerical sample space. So thereafter, we have the concept of the two type. We classify the random variable in two type. So let us we have the experiment. Toss 3 coins. Toss 3 coins. So sample space can be head, 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 tail, 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 tail. Right? So when we toss the 3 coins, experiment is the 3 coins. So we can have the following sample space. Then after, if we are taking the random variable x as a number of heads, so x can be from here we have the 3, means all the 3 heads. It can be 2 heads, it can be 1, it can be 0. So when we have the x is equal to 3, at that time the sample points are h, 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 right? When x is equal to 2, it is the HHT, it is the HTH or THH. When x is equal to 1, so it is the HTT, THT or TTH. And x is equal to 0, it means it is the TTT. So random variable is which type of the mapping? Either the 1 or many to 1, but never we have the 1 to many, right? Never we have the 1 to many, means we are converting the non-numerical sample space to the numerical sample space. So this is the rule of the random variable. Now if I say x represent number of tosses required to get first head, to get first head. So when we have this, so x can be 1, x can be 1, means sample space will, in the very first toss we have the head. X can be 2, means first result is tail, another second one is the head. It can be 3, tail head. It can be 4, first 3 are the tail, then we have the head, then 5, first 4 are the tail, then head, and so on, and so on, right? Or if we have the random variable, let's say x, life length of car, life length of car. So life length of the car, what is, so life length of the car means, here let we have purchased the car, and this is the life length of the car. So let this is the t is equal to t. So this t can be the fixed. Life length of the car means it is exactly 10 years. It can be 10 year, 1 month, 1 second. It can be the 10 year, 2 month, 2 hour, 1 minute, 1 second. It may be the 1 second, 1 nanosecond, right? So that you cannot fix. We means we can say up to here we can have the life length of the car, or up to here we have the life length of the car, but we cannot say discreetly or certainly that at this point the car will break, right? So when we have this situation, then we have the countable points, uncountable infinite points, right? Then we have the uncountable, uh, uncountable, right? This is the situation of the uncountable. So here we have seen the 3 or 4 situation. So in this case we have the x is equal to 1 2 3 4, means here we have the x is equal to 1 2 3 4 and so on. Here we have the x lie between particular interval, and in this example, x is what? In this example, x is what? 0 1 2 3. So here the numbers are finite. Here numbers are countable, infinite, and here the numbers are uncountable. Here the numbers are uncountable. So first two, so we have the this is the random variable. So it can be of two type. Either this is the discrete or this is the continuous. When we say it is a discrete, when we have the finite or countable infinite, and when it is a continuous, when it is uncountable. So chapter 3 is dedicated on the discrete random variable only, and chapter 4 on the continuous random variable. So in the chapter 2, you have taken the idea about the event, or you can say sample space, event, then we have computed the probability. The same thing here, sample space, from the sample space we have developed the random variable. From the random variable we define the event, right? Under the random variable we define the event, then after we compute the probability, associated probability. So here the means random variable is characterized. This random variable is characterized characterized by the two important probability function. One is the fx, another is the capital Fx. This is known as the probability density function, and this is known as the cumulative distribution function. Means this is known as the probability density function, probability mass function, or point probability function. So these two we use explicitly for the discrete random variable, right? These two we use only for the discrete random variable, and this we use for the means for both means discrete random variable oblique continuous random variable. So it is good practice if you say probability mass function for the discrete and probability density function for the continuous. So easily you can recognize by this name, you can recognize that given random variable is either the discrete or continuous. CDF stand for cumulative distribution function. Right. So whenever it will come, at that time I will explain what is the cumulative distribution function. So actually, whatever the probability we are computing here using the different approach, right? Same probability we compute through this function using some, right? Same probability we can compute using the given probability density function or cumulative distribution function. So actually what we are saying, we are saying that probability of x is equal to x we are computing. This is the probability density function, or we are computing the probability x up to the point x, right? Probability of a random variable will take the value up to the point x, accumulation of the probability up to that point x. So this is the few concepts about the PDF and CDF. So let us move to the tweet sheet. Now, whatever the requirement of the concept that I try to explain here, consider x is equal to number of toys chosen from the shop with f0 is equal to 0.32, f1 is equal to 0.44, f2 is equal to 0.58, and f3 is equal to 0.76, and f4 is equal to 0.82. So actually what is happening here? Here we have the x. X can take the value. X can take the value either the 0, whatever we have written in bracket, 0. Here we have the 1, 2, 2 toys. Here we have the 3, and here we have the 4. So now we can have the point probability function, probability of x is equal to x, or it is the PDF or PPF, point probability function, and probability of x less than equal to x, probability of x less than equal to x, that we denote by the capital Fx. So capital Fx is given to you as a 0.32. This is given to you as a 0.44, 0.58, 0.76, 0.82, 0.82, and I think there should be the 5 also. So it will be the 1. So when I'm saying that probability of x is equal x less than equal to x, what is the meaning? It is the probability of x1, probability of x1 plus probability of x2 plus probability of x3 dash 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 plus probability of x. That is the concept. Up to the x, you have to add the all probabilities. Right? Up to the x, you have to add the all probabilities. So probability of x is equal to x1, meaning of this, plus probability of x is equal to x2 plus probability of x is equal to x. Up to the this, you have to add the all probabilities. So here, what is the meaning of this? Up to the 0, you have added. So its probability is given to you as a 0.32. So in this case, if f of 0 is given to you, means probability x less than equal to 0. That is the p x is equal to 0. It is given to you as a 0.32. Now f of 1 means probability x less than equal to 1 is equal to probability x is equal to 0 plus probability x is equal to 1. So it is given to you as a point. It is given to you as a 0.44. So if it is given to you as a 0.44, so it is the 0.44, and this in the previous step we have seen it is the 0.32. So probability x is equal to 1 is equal to 0.44. So probability of x is equal to 1 will become 0.44 minus 0.32, that is the 0.12. Similarly, if it is given to you f2, means probability of x less than equal to 2, that is the probability of x is equal to 0 plus probability of x is equal to 1 plus probability of x is equal to 2. So when we have the x is equal to 2 and f of 2 is given to you as a 0.58, so 0.58, so this is given to you as a 0.58, and for this we have the probability 0.44. So 0.44 plus probability of x is equal to 2 is equal to 0.58. So probability of x is equal to 2 will become the point, right? It will become the 0.44. So 0.14, right? So in this way, we can write the so it will become the 0.32, 0.12, 0.14, and it will become 0.18, 0.18, then this will become 0.06, 0.06, and this will become the 0.18. So in this way, we can write the PDF. So now, if you have to compute the probability of, just 1 minute, I will take. So probability of x between 1 to 4. It means probability of x is equal to 1 plus probability of x is equal to 2 plus probability of x is equal to 3 plus probability of x is equal to 4. So we will add the probability of, means 0.12, 0.12, 0.14, 0.18, and 0.06. When we have to compute the probability of x is equal to 2, so probability of x is equal to 2 is given to you as a 0.14. So in this way, we can compute the required probability. So in next class, we will continue this tutorial sheet.
Sir, what does f represent here? The cumulative value?
F, capital F.
Yes, sir.
Capital F means cumulative distribution function.
Okay, sir.
Sum up to that point, accumulation up to that point.
So no, sir, isn't it the accumulation of like f2 hai, so it would be p2 minus p1, or then p2 plus p1 between the two values?
Means this can be written as, your observation is correct. This can be written as f of 2 minus f of 1.
Yes, sir.
And this is the f of 4 minus f of 0. right?
Yes, sir.
Actually, all these we have covered in the lecture. Any other doubt? So that's all from my side. So I'm stopping the recording.
Thank you, sir.